If you're someone who wants to DIY your Medicare and skip all those pesky insurance agents who are trying to push you into a plan that you don't want, well, wait for just a second, because there are 4 pitfalls that you need to be aware of that could cost you a lot of money if you make a mistake. And the first mistake is not fully checking which doctors and which hospitals are in your plan's network. In fact, I have known someone who found a great plan for them, but when they actually went to use it, they found out that their nearest doctor was very far away, or that certain services were hours away. You cannot find the doctors and hospitals that are in a network or that are available to you on Medicare's Plan Finder. This is a major problem. You can go on there and you can search for plans and you can find good plans, good benefits, etc., but you're not going to find which doctors and which hospitals take those plans. So this is a big issue. So if you're struggling to find the doctors and hospitals near you, then what do you do? What do you use? Well, people come to us all the time for that. They come to us as agents to help them solve this problem, to find which doctors and which hospitals are accepted. Agents, we have access to software that helps us to find doctors and hospitals in network. We also search each individual network plan, and we stay up on what's happening in local areas to make sure that we know which doctors and which hospitals are in network, because this is a moving target. Doctors are coming in and out of network all the time. And so that's one of the main things that we do, is help people figure out which doctors and which hospitals are in network. Now, if you're going at DIY route, there is no tool available to consumers to easily check this. The Medicare's Plan Finder tool, it tells you which benefits are available, how much they will cost, but it doesn't show you what the network looks like. Instead, you have to contact each insurance company separately and talk to each plan or go to each plan website to figure out which doctors and which hospitals are in the network. Some insurance companies will have directories that are easy to follow on their website to show you which doctors and hospitals are in network, and others it's a little more complex. You could also ask your preferred doctor which plan he or she accepts, but I would put a big caution out there. There are so many plans that oftentimes a doctor's office will mistakenly say, yeah, we accept ABC insurance, but it turns out they accept ABC insurance for everything except for Medicare. So you really need to be careful when you're talking to the doctor's office. Verify that against the insurance company and make sure that they actually take the plan. That's the point of having good coverage, right? I mean, the reason you go have good coverage is so that you can go to the doctor that you want to see. And if you show up at that doctor's office and find out that your insurance is not accepted there, then you failed, right? Or your agent failed. That's a really critical component of having the right insurance. If you're feeling confused about Medicare, don't worry, you're not crazy. It just is that complicated. And that's why I created a workshop that makes Medicare simple so that you can confidently choose a plan. So you can click on the link on the screen to learn more. Okay, back to the video. The next mistake is not realizing that there are 2 parts to Medicare that have permanent late enrollment penalties. You're probably aware by now that Medicare has penalties if you don't enroll on time, but so many people miss the second penalty, which is the Medicare Part D prescription drug penalty, and they don't realize that Medicare Part D also has a penalty. So let's talk briefly. You've probably done some research. I'll keep this quick, but I want to talk about these 2 main permanent penalties. Now, in both cases, you need to sign up for Medicare during your IEP. IEP is your initial enrollment period. If you enroll when you're first eligible for Medicare in your initial enrollment period, now there's a whole conversation about people who have other coverage who can wait, but if you enroll during your IEP, then you're going to be protected from penalties. Now this IEP is 3 months before your birthday, it's the month of your birthday, and it's 3 months after your birthday. So it's a 7-month window. Now guess what? Medicare Part D is the same. It's the same thing. You have IEP, it's 3 months before the month of and 3 months after. If you enroll during that time, you won't get a penalty. So what are the penalties? Well, for Medicare Part D, it is an extra 10% per year that you were not enrolled, 10% per year. So if you were late for 2 years, you're going to pay 20% more than everyone else. That is how the Part B penalty works. But with Medicare Part D, it's a little different. With Part D, it's an extra 1% added to your premium, and it's not your premium, it's the national average premium for every month that you were not enrolled. So if you were not enrolled for 10 months, then it's an extra 10%. If you were not enrolled for 12 months, 12%, 20 months, 20%, right? So it's an extra 1% per month. Now, currently, this is based on the national average premium. And the national average premium right now is $36.78. So that means that you have to pay 1% more off of $36.78 for the rest of the year, and then next year it's going to go up even more. So it's calculated that way. It's a moving target, and it will continue to move every year. So if we're going to give this a number, right now 1 year is going to be $4.40 a month, which means that 2 years is going to be $8.80 a month extra. So you're going to pay that every month forever when you get drug coverage, and it's going to keep growing and growing and growing. So that's how that works. Where over here, right now, we know that most people in 2025 are paying $185 a month right now. So if you add 10% on top of that, that's an extra. It means they're going to pay an extra $18.50 a month that they need to add to their premium because they were 1 year without coverage. And for going that 1 year without coverage, now they're paying an extra $18.50 every month. And when the Part B premium increases, then the penalty also increases. So sometimes people hear about these penalties and they say, well, that's not too bad, an extra $4.40 a month or an extra $18.50 a month. But remember, these are permanent. They're going to follow you for the rest of your life, and they're also increasing. You know, 15 years ago when I started helping people with Medicare, the Part B premium was like $112, and now it's $185, and next year it's going to be even more. So remember that these are permanent penalties, and they're going to stay with you forever. And the other thing that happens, and the reason why Medicare Part D, this happens frequently, is because oftentimes people with Medicare Part D, they think, oh, you know what? I don't take medications, and so I don't need to worry about getting coverage for my medications. Isn't that great? I'm going to save everybody money. I won't get coverage. Well, that is a bad idea because that's where the penalty hits you. You would think that by not getting coverage that you're not costing money. Well, it's the opposite to the insurance companies and to the government. They need everyone participating. If you're not participating, then you're not putting money in. That's how insurance works, is that it takes the cost and averages out over a lot of people. And so they need everyone participating. So with Medicare Part D, like I said, oftentimes people say, well, I'm not taking medications. I'll just wait until I need them, and then I'll get Medicare Part D. That is a big mistake. Now, anyone who does their research should be able to avoid these first two mistakes. But did you know that there are some mistakes that are not your fault? They can be the fault of the insurance company. And that leads us to mistake number 3. If you are relying 100% on the insurance company and have no representative for yourself, it's very hard to get things fixed. So for example, we had a client come to us and say, we need help. I signed up for a plan through the insurance company and they made a mistake. They messed up my application. Can you help me? Well, unfortunately, there's very little that I can do. I am not your representative. But the insurance company had processed their application incorrectly. So when this client went to the doctor, they found out that the plan was not active because of some mistake, and now they didn't have coverage and were trying to get in. To make matters worse, when our team called the insurance company, it was super obvious that we are not the representative and we couldn't help them with what was going on. The insurance company was giving confusing answers, and we really had to push them to take another look at the application and to process it correctly. Ultimately, things were resolved in the end, but this happens a lot more than you might expect. And this is a true story and something that we experience on a regular basis. So you see, when you have an agent, they represent you when dealing with the insurance company. So let's talk about this third mistake. We're going to call it Medicare with and without an insurance agent. So if you do it without an agent as a DIY, here is you right here, and here is the insurance company. You notice you are dealing directly with the insurance company. Simple, right? You are working with the insurance company. You have an issue, you need to call them. Something didn't work out, call them. There was an issue with prior authorizations, call the insurance company, right? You don't have a representative. Your representative is the insurance company. With an agent, here's you right here. Here is your agent. And here is the insurance company. you have options. You can work directly with the insurance company, you can work with your agent, and your agent can work with the insurance company. So now you have options when you have issues because you have a representative. And by the way, there is no cost to having an insurance agent. So you can have representation without paying extra for it. Everyone essentially has the right to it, and it's being paid for by the insurance whether you have an agent or not. This seems like a simple thing, but when people don't understand this and they're working directly with insurance companies, it means that when you have an issue, you've got to call a 1-800 number. You've got to explain it to someone new. They don't understand it. You hope that you've gotten to someone who can fix or resolve your issue. We see this a lot with bills. Oftentimes, our clients have received bills in the mail. The bill isn't necessarily the fault of the insurance company. Sometimes it comes from a doctor's office that is contracted with the insurance company. And the doctor's office thinks that, oh, the insurance company didn't pay the bill or hasn't paid yet, and so we're going to send the bill to this member, this client, this patient. Well, you're not allowed to do that when someone has a Medicare plan, right? And so you start calling the insurance company. You start calling the doctor's office. Oftentimes we hear about people who just give up and they pay the bill. That's the worst thing. You shouldn't be paying for something that you're not responsible for. And so when you have an agent, and this is something that, like I said, that we are fixing all the time, is that the person, the member or the patient calls us and says, I'm having an issue. I received a bill in the mail and I don't think that this is right. I don't think that this is how much I'm supposed to pay. Or I don't think I thought you told me I wasn't supposed to pay anything, which does happen. We've had situations where the doctor's office visit is actually a $0 copay, and then our client receives a bill in the mail. Well, that's a mistake. We help them to resolve that. In fact, we have a full service team that helps to resolve that. That's what a good agent does, is helps to resolve situations. So a lot of people think, oh, I need an insurance agent to help me choose my insurance. Well, I would tell you, you need an insurance agent to help you after you have your insurance. That's more important, or as important, as choosing the right plan. Okay, finally, let's talk about the fourth and final mistake that we see frequently, which is not setting up your benefits. You see, sometimes insurance companies, they don't necessarily set up all the benefits for you. Instead, you need to do it yourself. It's to their advantage if you don't use all the benefits. And some plans have a lot of extra benefits, things that you can enjoy, like being able to see a dentist or getting chiropractic services or over-the-counter items like Band-Aids and other medicines, or receiving transportation and rides to and from the doctor. But if you don't set them up, then they're just going to go to waste. Most of these benefits don't roll over to the next year. They expire if you don't use them. In fact, one time we had another client call us, true story, because they knew they were entitled to a grocery benefit that would deliver groceries in their plan, but they didn't know how to get it set up. Now, because she was working with us, our agents were able to help her set it up and get things going for her. And she was super grateful because she could now get groceries. She was living on this really tight fixed income. She was even crying. And it was a touching moment where we were able to help her. But again, if you're going DIY, then you have to deal directly with your insurance company on your own. So I'd encourage you to really look into all of your extra benefits and all of your perks that your plan offers and learn how to set them up and make sure that you are using them and getting the maximum out of your plan. If you can't figure something out, then contact your insurance company, because you don't want to throw any of that money away. You want to use your plan to the fullest. I mean, why get a plan if you're not going to set up and use those extra benefits? So you see, there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of if you decide to go DIY Medicare. So this begs the question, why don't people just use an agent to begin with? Well, I wish I had an answer for that, because it doesn't make any sense. People should use an agent. So let me tell you, I want to tell you about 3 things that you should look for in a good agent. Because if you're, after watching this video, saying, well, I should have an agent, but I'm still concerned about who to work with, then here are 3 things that you should consider when looking for an insurance agent. And the first one is super, super important. It's the most important of all of them. You want to make sure that you are working with someone who is an independent broker. And this is really important terminology, independent broker. Independent meaning they don't work for an insurance company. They can look at all insurance company. Broker meaning that they're not a captive agent. So you don't want captive. Captive can mean multiple things, but usually what it means is that they only work with one insurance company. They can only represent one insurance company. So if you call an insurance company directly, you're speaking to a captive agent in almost every case, someone who has to sell you on that company, has to sell you on their benefits. And if they don't, then they're not going to make any commission. So they have to push that plan. That's what a captive agent is. So first thing, independent broker. Independent, they don't work with an insurance company. Broker, they can work with lots of insurance plans. So that leads to the second thing that you need to look for in an agent. And I would say that is service after enrollment. Are they going to provide service after the initial enrollment, after processing your paperwork? Unfortunately, there are some independent brokers who are not going to service. They are going to move on to helping someone else enroll, and that's just all they do, is help people make choices. Well, I would say that that's not the kind of person that you want to work with. You want to work with an independent broker who's going to provide service, because that independent broker is being paid every month when you join a plan. Once you join a plan and they are paid to be your agent, then they should be providing service. Unfortunately, there are quite a few that don't. Here at PlanFit, we have an entire team of non-licensed individuals that support our independent brokers to provide service. But you need to make sure that there's going to be service after enrollment. I mean, that's what you're entitled to. That's what you should be receiving. That leads to the last and final of these three things of what to look for in an agent. And the last one I'll tell you about is salary. Now, most insurance brokers who provide service are paid commissions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. They are paid to service you for the long haul. But if you can find an independent broker who provides service after enrollment and is paid a salary, this is the best of all worlds, because on a salary, that independent insurance agent is focused on your needs and helping you versus their commissions or their compensation. That's why here at PlanFit, we pay all of our agents salary instead of commission. That way our team can assist their clients without any bias whatsoever. So if you're looking for an agent that fits all of this criteria, then give us a call at the number on the screen, and our team of licensed insurance agents would be glad to assist you at no cost to you. And if you're still undecided on whether or not you should go with a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare Supplement plan, our agents can help to guide you to your best option as well. Or if you want to do some more research on your own first, then check out my next video where I compare all of the differences between Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplements.